time to laugh and a time to cry, a time to forgive and a time to forget. Dreams we dream sometime never die. We carry them on until they become someone else's dreams. A friend of mine had such a dream. I met her at a truck stop just outside of Phoenix. We both worked there. Her dream came true, I know. The key to her dream was a little sign that read, "Giddy up, go." She was a lovely girl, pretty smile, but behind all this I could see a troubled mind. She told me when she met the guy that won her heart and made her life a joy. And before too long, more happiness came, a little baby boy. Things wasn't too bad, his job wasn't much, but somehow they got by. And then came the day he drove home a big truck, and the little boy became so overjoyed, just like when he saw his first fall of snow. He kept hollering, "Giddy up, go, Daddy, giddy up, go." Then a dark cloud moved in. A few years later, without warning, after a few visits with her doctor, he said it was just a matter of time. She knew she'd have to move to a drier climate, and this troubled her mind. So without leaving a trace, she took her son and left town one night. She settled here, and we became the closest of friends. We talked from time to time, and she'd smile, and her eyes would glow when she'd tell me about Giddy Up Go. Each time a truck would pull in, I could see her stand and stare. Wasn't long before she had to give up being a waitress here, and she moved on out of town, not too far. We visited almost every week. The boy now's almost grown. He's the image of his dad, she'd say, the most handsomest man I've ever known. The dark cloud once more moved in, and as I stood close by, once again she told her story. I could see a tear in her eye. I know my son longs for the road, and the last request she had, let him become a truck driver, like son, like dad. The boy soon left town, I never knew for where. But I find myself watching every truck that pulled in around the curve. Giddy Up Go was the only link that held between the two, and I was hoping that I could be of help. It became a dream to me too. Just now I froze in my tracks as I watched two trucks pull in, a big new shiny diesel and an old one following him. I couldn't help staring as they walked in, ordered coffee, and talked a while. Then I saw them leave, both wearing such a smile. They walked out to the old truck, brushed off some dirt so the nameplate would show. And before my eyes, a little sign that read, "Giddy up, go."
Howdy! I'm just so proud to be here. Well, sir, I'm just as proud and happy to be down here with all you fine folks, and handsome fellers, too. Now, they are. Sure enough, I've been looking at them. I just look. It don't do no good, but I still look. It's kind of like going down to the depot and watching the trains go by. You love to hear the whistle even if you ain't going nowhere. But I did have two nice-looking fellers kind of look at me tonight as I was walking in out there. There was two of the handsomest fellers standing there, and I looked over at them and smiled, and they looked over at me and laughed out loud. One of them said to the other, he said, "I believe that's the ugliest woman I ever seen in my life." The other one said, "Yes, she's awful ugly, but she might be a pretty good old girl. You know, beauty's only skin deep." And the other one said, "Well, let's skin her." See, I can't help the way I look. When they passed around looks, I thought they said books, and I said, give me a funny one. Well, so this other feller, he says to me, he says, now, I believe I recognize that girl. Said, that's that Minnie Pearl. Said, she's been down there at the Grand Ole Opry for 175 and a half years. He said, she carries on like she's from the country. He said, I bet she ain't from the country. He said, I bet she don't know a goose from a gander. I turned around, I said, well, at Grinder's Switch, we don't worry about that. We just put them all out there together and let them figure it out for themselves. Oh, so far we ain't had no complaints, hardly at all, you might say. Well, so though my feller, he had a fit about me coming off over here. You know, he gets worried about me when I leave Grinder's Switch and come over here to Nashville. He does. He worries. He said, one of these nights, you'll get over there around that Grand Ole Opry, and one of them fellas over there will run off with you. I wish they would. I just said that because it's so. No, he said last night he come by the house. And, oh, you know, it is so romantical. It is late. It's about 8:30, I reckon. And we was sitting there on the double settee in the front room, and I was sitting by him, and him by me, and one by each, and each by the other. We was just sitting there. Oh, it is romantical, except for one thing. We got a great big old tall grandfather clock. Stands away tall against the wall, and it ticks slow. Every time my fella comes over there to keep me company, sound like that old clock saying, take your time, take your time. I ought to get one of my fast ticking little clocks that goes, get together, get together, get together. Ain't this awful grown girl of 18 up here carrying on so silly? He said, what would you do? We're sitting there just looking at one another, just like two frogs under a collard leaf and it a-raining. He said, what would you do if you was to get off up there around where all them handsome fellers are up there in the city and run up on a bunch of one of them fast fellers, them city broke fellers that'd just kiss you at the drop of a hat? What would you do? I said, I reckon I'd be all time dropping my hat. I ain't had no trouble yet. I'm still a-hoping. Law, I ain't been kissed in so long. I forgot whether it's done but drawing in your breath or blowing it out. That's right now, sure does. They say kissing spreads germs. I sure have spent a lot of healthy evenings in my life. We had a party the other night at Grinder's Switch, where I live at, and right in the middle of it, they started playing a game where they drawed a circle in the middle of the floor, and a girl would stand in the middle of the circle, and a fella would either have to kiss her or pay a fine. I made $11.34. One old boy didn't have no money with him, said he'd pay me come Saturday. But I'd like to take you all with me to Grinder's Switch sometime. Now, I've been talking about Grinder's Switch for now on to 20 years up here at the Grand Ole Opry, and there's several folks have asked me about Grinder's Switch, and I'd just love to take you with me. We've got more going on down there than you ever seen. River runs every day, train runs once a week. Everything going on down there, it's exciting. Now, last week, Chief Jones got one of them newfangled oil stoves, and that thing blowed Chief and his old lady clean out the top of the roof. First time they've been out together since they got married. He ain't like Lem Perkins. He takes his wife with him everywhere he goes. I said to him one day, I said, Lem, you thoughty? You take your wife with you everywhere you go. He said, yeah, she's so ugly, I'd rather take her with me than to kiss her goodbye.
I'm a-going hunting, got my shotgun in my hand. But I ain't hunting rabbits, I'm hunting for a man. Done bought myself a license, and the first thing that I treat will end up either getting shot or coming home with me. It's hunting season, hunting season, my favorite season of the year. It's hunting season, and all aim is bad. I aim to get a feller. When I do, I'll be so glad. I ain't too particular and don't know what I'll find. I'm just looking for a man with loving on his mind. It's hunting season, hunting season, my favorite season of the year. It's hunting season, hunting season, and all I'm hunting is a deer. Now it's open season, there'll be hunters by the store, hunting ducks and elephants from here to Singapore. They'll kill lots of animals because they always do. I may not kill a single man, but I'll triple up a few. It's hunting season, hunting season, my favorite season of the year. It's hunting season, hunting season, and all I'm a hunting is a great big strong handsome deer. D-E-A-R, that is.
Well, sir, I'll tell you, I was coming in here just now and something happened to me that it just scared me to death. There's a dark alley back here, back of where we are tonight, you know, and there was a feller back there, and he was a perfectly strange feller I had never saw before, and he grabbed a hold of me, and he says, I'm going to kiss you if you can't guess who I am. Well, I guessed Santa Claus and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Frosty the Snowman and Rhett Butler. He won't none of them. He wasn't sure enough, not a single one. So he kissed me. And then he brought me on up where there's light, where you come in back here at the steps where there's a light, you know. And I turned around and I said, what made you kiss me? And he took one good look at me and he said, lady, I must have been out of my mind. Well, I reckon I ain't as young as I used to be. I tell you now, I guess that all of us is go along, you know. Now, I will say one thing, that my figure ain't as good as it used to be. My figure's my fortune. I've just got my money invested in the wrong places, you see. I've got an hourglass figure, but it's later than you think. Oh, it's 1:15, no time at all, hardly, you might say. But I wanted to go back and say, though, that I have been paid some fine compliments at one time or another. Just a little while ago, one feller told me I look like a breath of spring. He didn't use them words. He said I look like the end of a hard winter. But, you know, we've had a lot of excitement around Grinder Switch here recently. Aunt Ambrosia and Uncle Nabob have got a boy named Cousin Elmer, and he's come home. He's been in the service. Oh, I just love the fellers in the service, only I'm at the awkward age to flirt with the fellers in the service. I'm young enough to flirt with them and too old to have them flirt back. But my cousin Elmer, he's come home. He's been over in the South Pacific, you know, where them girls dance them hula dances. He said he got engaged to one of them girls, but she wiggled out of it. I said, Elmer, how in the world do them girls dance them hula dances? And he said, that ain't hard to do. He said, all you do to dance the hula dances, you tie a bunch of hay around your waist and a bunch of oats around your neck, and then just rotate the crops. Oh, I'd never do that. My mammy'd whoop me for sure. But I wanted to bring my brother with me tonight, too, but every time I take him with me, something awful will happen. The first time I took him to town, everybody run from him. One fella pointed his finger at my brother, and he says, what's the matter with that boy? He's got spots all over his face. Has he got the smallpox? I said, Lord, no, brother ain't got the smallpox. We just been trying to learn him to eat with a fork. Brother's aim always has been bad. I remember one time he aimed at a squirrel up at the top of a tree and killed a sow and 5 pigs on the ground. Same bullet. But you know, I'll never forget, really, that first time I took Brother to town. We was going on the train, and Brother had never rode a train before, and we went down to the depot to get on, and we didn't know which end to get on. Both of them had stopped. We got on that old train, and his just sitting there, me and brother both, just big as life and twice as natural. And a fella come in the train, and he was hollering, apples, oranges, and nanners. And brother had never had a nanner before, and he's careless with his money. He'll spend a nickel just like that all in the same place, think nothing of it. Ain't no flies on brother, not since we got DDT. Well, so he got that nanner, and he didn't know how to eat it, and this fella right across the isle got one too, and he kept his eyes square dab on that fella. And that fella peeled down the nanner in his hand, brother peeled down the nanner in his hand. Fella took a bite out of the nanner in his hand, brother took a bite out of the nanner in his hand. Just brother took a bite out of the nanner in his hand and went through a tunnel. Everything just black, couldn't see a thing. Come through on the other side, brother just sitting there holding that nanner, wasn't saying a word. I said, brother, ain't you gonna eat the rest of your nanner? He said, no, I ain't gonna eat no more. I took one bite and I went stone blind. We've had more trouble with that tunnel. Now, that's a tunnel on that railroad track that runs from Grind to Switch into Nashville. And that tunnel, it's not a long tunnel. It's just a short tunnel, and they don't turn the lights on. And it's dark in there. And one day, me and sister was going into town, and we got in that tunnel. And while it was dark in there, a fellow across from me grabbed a hold of me and kissed me, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know whether to bake a cake or cut a watermelon. And we got through on the other side, and the fella looked kind of embarrassed, and I looked kind of embarrassed because we was through there in the daytime, you know, in the light, and he done kissed me and all. And I didn't know what to say, and he didn't know what to say, and finally he said, you know that tunnel back there cost over $1 million? I said, you know it is worth every cent of it. Oh, that is a fine day. Me and sister was sitting there, and just as we got on closer into Nashville, well, they stopped, and then they started the train up again, and a man got on that train, and he had a handkerchief over the bottom part of his face, and he had a gun in each hand. He said, I'm going to rob all the men and kiss all the women. And sister jumped up and said, oh, no, you can't do that. I said, sit down, sister, who's robbing this train?
Howdy! I'm just so proud to be here. I'm gonna sing now. Let her go, fellers. You can have my coffee, you can have my tea. Just you let my feller be. I'm jealous, jealous-hearted me. I'm just as jealous as I can be. Now I like fiddle-style crowd. I get my mail on the rural route. I'm jealous, jealous-hearted me. I'm just as jealous as I can be. I've got a man and a bulldog too. My man don't bite, but my bulldog do. I'm jealous, jealous-hearted me. I'm just as jealous as I can be. Now I've got a stove, got the best in town. What I need's a good man to turn the damper down. I'm jealous, jealous-hearted me. I'm just as jealous as I can be. Now I may be old enough in years, but I can climb a hill without changing gears. I'm jealous, jealous-hearted me. I'm just as jealous as I can be. Now I ain't no beauty, don't dress so fine, but you ought to see me handle that feller of mine. I'm jealous, jealous-hearted me.
prove it in days to come. I swear it true, darling, you're the only one. I think of you, of the past and all our fun. I love you, I'll prove it in days to come. You're my darling, you've been true. I should have been good to you. You're the one that's in my heart while we're apart. I'll be true, I'll prove it to you someday. I love you, in my heart you'll always stay. I've been so blue and lonesome all these days. I love you, I'll prove it 1,000 ways. I'll be nice and sweet to you, and no more will you be blue. I'll prove I love you every day, all kinds of ways. So darling, please wait until I'm free. There'll be a change, a great change made in me. I'll be true, there never will be blue days. I love you, I'll prove it 1,000 ways.
What is an American anyway? Well, he yells for the government to balance the budget, then takes his last dime to make him a down payment on his car. He whips the enemy nations, then gives them the shirt off his back. He yells for speed laws that'll stop fast driving, and then won't buy a car unless it'll make 100 miles an hour. He gets scared to death if we vote $1 billion for education. He's cool as a cucumber when he finds out we're spending $3 billion a year on tobacco. He gripes about the high price of the things he has to buy. Gripes still more about the low price of things he has to sell. He'll get mad at his wife for not running their home with the efficiency of a hotel, then get mad at the hotel for not operating like a home. He'll spend half a day looking for vitamin pills to make him live longer, then drive 90 miles an hour on slick pavement to make up for time lost. He'll fall out with his wife over her cooking, then go on a fishing trip and swallow half-fried potatoes, burnt fish, and gritty creek water coffee made in a rusty bucket and think it's good. He'll work hard on the farm so he can move into town, so he can make money, so he can move back on the farm. He's the only fella in the world who'll pay 50 cents to park while he eats a 25-cent sandwich. He likes to cuss his government, but gets fighting mad if somebody else does it. We're the folks that have more food to eat than any other place in the world, and more diets to keep us from eating it. We're the most ambitious people on earth. We run from morning till night to keep our earning power up with our yearning power. We're supposed to be the most Christian nation on earth, but still can't deliver a payroll without an armored guard. But we're pretty nice folks. Calling a citizen of the United States a real American is the best compliment you can pay him.
Well, Papa Papa loves a mambo.
Mama loves mambo.
Look at them sway with it, getting so gay with it, shouting ole with it. Wow! Papa loves a mambo.
Mama loves mambo.
Yeah, Papa does great with it.
Swings like a gate with it. He loses weight with it now.
He goes too.
She goes slow.
He goes fast.
She goes slow.
Well, he goes left.
And she goes right.
Papa's looking for Mama, but the Mama is nowhere in sight.
2, 3, 4. Well!
Papa loves a mambo.
Mama loves mambo.
Having their fling again, younger than spring again, feeling the zing again. Wow! Papa loves a mambo.
Mama loves mambo. Don't play the rumba and don't play the samba, cause Papa loves mambo tonight.
Papa loves a mambo.
Mama loves mambo.
Having their swing again, younger than spring again, feeling the zing again. Wow! Papa loves a mambo.
Mama loves mambo. Don't play the rumba and don't play the samba, cause Papa loves mambo tonight.
I'll prove it in days to come. I swear it true, darling, you're the only one. I think of you, of the past and all our fun. I love you, I'll prove it in days to come. You're my darling, you've been true. I should have been good to you. You're the one that's in my heart while we're apart. I'll be true, I'll prove it to you someday. I love you, in my heart you'll always stay. I've been so blue and lonesome all these days. I love you, I'll prove it 1,000 ways. I'll be nice and sweet to you, and no more will you be blue. I'll prove I love you every day, all kinds of ways. So darling, please wait until I'm free. There'll be a change, a great change made in me. I'll be true, there never will be blue days. I love you, I'll prove it 1,000 ways.